Kansas City Chiefs are gearing up to take on the Buffalo Bills in what will possibly decide the number one seed in the AFC. And guys, I have a preview and a prediction for this game. Starting with the big ideas, this is a big test for the Kansas City Chiefs. No one really believes in the Kansas City Chiefs right now. Sure, there are people afraid to pick against them because they are 9-0. They have won 2 consecutive Super Bowls, but no one really believes in them because of their margin of victory. The margin of victory for the Kansas City Chiefs in all of these games has been so small. A win versus the Buffalo Bills, regardless of the margin of victory, would change that overwhelming doubt, that overwhelming undercover doubt in the media. Not that the Kansas City Chiefs themselves need that. However, this could be a massive boost for the confidence of this team, taking out the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Bills, all in the same season without suffering any losses in between, would be massive and would just prove to this team that, yes, they are still on pace to be a Super Bowl champion. The number 2 big idea here is this: 10-0. This franchise has never been 10-0. Getting to 10-0 and sending the Bills to 8-3 would all but seal the number 1 seed. This is something that could be invaluable come the home stretch of this season. When you start to talk about late season games, look, I do believe the Kansas City Chiefs will lose a game this season. I can't imagine 17-0 happening. I do believe that if 17-0 were on the table, whether that final playoff spot, whether that number 1 seed is sewn up or not, the conversation would have in the building, and I think that Patrick Mahomes and these Kansas City Chiefs would go for it. And the sort of argument against that is, well, Kelsey didn't play last year in the final week of the regular season. Rashee Rice didn't even, and it was his rookie year. Well, those were individual accolades. This is a team goal. Getting to, if the Chiefs find themselves 16-0 heading into that final week of the regular season, I do expect them to try to win the game. I don't think that's going to happen. And because I don't think that's going to happen, every win along the way actually still matters. Getting to 10-0 would be priceless for this franchise, and you can't count 2 wins at a time, right? But getting past the Bills would set the Chiefs up to take on the 3-7 Carolina Panthers. And that's a game that right now looks like the easiest contest on the rest of the schedule. You would hope the Kansas City Chiefs would win that one. If they do win these next 2 games, getting to 11-0, leaving 6 games to win 4. Leaving 6 games to win 4, which would absolutely win you the number 1 seed, because that's how simple the math is at this point. The Chiefs, actually, really, you could lose 4 as long as the Bills lose 1 more. You could only have to win, of the remaining 6 games, 2 of them. Is that right? You wouldn't have to win 3 because you would have to win 3 because the Bills can finish. If the Bills finish anyway, look, don't listen to me try to do math on the fly. It makes things very easy if the Chiefs win against the Bills and then take care of business against the Panthers. The number 3 thing that I have on the big ideas list here is just this. This will be a playoff atmosphere for this game. Both teams know the implications here. Should the Bills fail to knock off the Chiefs in this game, the rest of the schedule gets very difficult very fast. Because you have to not only win your games, you have to hope someone else takes care of Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs, for their part, obviously know all of the math that I just failed so horribly to do live. That means something to them. They will know those numbers. And this game becomes an absolute linchpin in getting the rest of that done. So both teams will be prepared for this game. Now, I am not going to say that it is out of the line of reasoning that one of these teams lays an egg. Absolutely, that is a realistic possibility. Something has to break in this game. Something will break in this game. Will that be on the side of the Kansas City Chiefs or the side of the Buffalo Bills? Now let's get into the analysis. What happens when the Chiefs run the ball? The Chiefs are 21st in the NFL with 115 rushing yards per game, or 1,036 rushing yards total. The Bills surrender 4.7 yards per run to running backs, and we'll talk about a couple of guys who added to that or really created that statistic in just a moment. And they are 15th in the NFL, surrendering 123.2 yards per game in the rushing department. The Ravens beat the Bills 35-10, with Derrick Henry going for 199 yards. Derrick Henry, great, big, powerful running back. Jonathan Taylor went over 100 yards just last week against these Colts, keeping the Colts within 10 points despite the fact that Lord Flacco threw for 3 interceptions. That would seem to favor the workhorse-type running backs against this defense. However, those workhorse-type running backs like Kareem Hunt. But just 2 weeks ago, Kenneth Walker, who we've made comparisons with several times now this season in this series, Kenneth Walker had 9 carries for 12 yards. So, I think that the Kansas City Chiefs can win this matchup. They can do well against the Buffalo Bills with running the football, but I don't know if it's going to be a knockdown drag-out the way that Kareem Hunt has put numbers up on people several times so far this NFL season. I think if you're going to get a win from the running game in this game, what it means is sticking pretty close to that 4.7 yard average that the Buffalo Bills give up to running backs. If you can do that, it probably means pretty good things for the Chiefs offense. Well, what about when the Kansas City Chiefs throw the ball? The Chiefs are 9th in the NFL with 231.6 passing yards per game. However, they're doing better the past few weeks, at least as far as rushing or passing yards are concerned. They have 2,084 yards total on the season. The Bills, for their part, are 18th in the NFL at stopping the pass, giving up 212.9 yards per game. Now, going back, the Texans beat the Bills 23-20, with C.J. Stroud going 28 for 38 for 331 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. In that game, no one had 100 yards receiving, despite the fact that C.J. Stroud threw for 331. But 2 wide receivers and a running back all went over 50 yards receiving in that game. So it would seem that the way to get to this Bills defense would be to have multiple targets. And we'll get to that in a minute. 2 weeks ago, the Dolphins lost to the Bills, but they only lost by 3, with Tua Tagovailoa going 25 of 28 for 231 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, what this looks like to me is you want to complete a high percentage of your passes, and you want to be able to stretch those passes across multiple different targets. So, it seems to me that we are left to assume Juju Smith-Schuster will be back on the field for this game, be on the field at the same time as Nuke Hopkins for the first time this season, and Juju plus Nuke should be able to take care of the high-volume stuff. the high volume percentage passes should be able to be vacuumed up by those two receivers, leaving Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce to do the damaging work. I think this could be a game with Juju Smith-Schuster, DeAndre Hopkins, Xavier Worthy, and Travis Kelce all on the field at the same time that things pick up for this offense. It would not strike me as unusual to see the Kansas City Chiefs, despite the fact that the Bills do have a very good defense, go over that 231.6 passing yards per game that they are averaging so far this season. This will be the most complete receiver package that the Kansas City Chiefs have trotted out onto the field so far this season. You might think earlier in the season with Rashee Rice healthy, the Kansas City Chiefs did that. But really, the Kansas City Chiefs signed Juju Smith-Schuster and traded for DeAndre Hopkins both after the fact that Hollywood Brown went down, after the fact that Rashee Rice went down. So what you're looking at is an offense that is going to have its most complete set of tools so far this season, even if those are not the original tools in their belt. Well, what about when the Kansas City Chiefs are on defense and the Bills have the ball? When the Bills run the ball, they are 15th in the NFL with 120.7 rushing yards per game, 1,207 total rushing yards this season. The Chiefs, for their part, are third in the NFL, giving up only 83.2 yards per game. And James Cook is averaging 4.5 yards per carry. The former Georgia Bulldog is 5'11", 190 with a 4.42 40-yard dash. He is a guy who can absolutely dash a defense. Now, if something is going to break in this game, like I talked about earlier, my money is on the Kansas City Chiefs passing offense breaking open. My money is on the fact that Patrick Mahomes, with a full set of receivers, knowing that he has limitations on that offensive line, Andy Reid, knowing that you should probably call quite a few quick hitter passing plays, the Kansas City Chiefs offense and that passing offense will take off. But if something is going to break in this game, and it's going to break in the Bills' favor, it could be a big day for Cook. The Kansas City Chiefs defense does not give up big days, but rules are made for breaking. Something is going to break in this game, and I do not expect it to be the Chiefs' run defense, but the Bills in Cook do have the weapon that could get that done. What about when the Bills throw the ball? Well, there's a lot of things going on here. The Bills have a quarterback that is also pretty good. The Bills are 12th in the NFL with 222.5 passing yards per game, or 2,225 yards total. Strange how that works when you've played 10 games. The Chiefs are 14th in the NFL in giving up only 206.7 passing yards per game, 1,860 yards total. Internet superstar Keon Coleman, the rookie wide receiver, who I thought was the second best wide receiver in this class, and Dalton Kincaid, who has 356 yards on the season, are both out for this game. Amari Cooper, wide receiver, and right tackle Spencer Brown are questionable for this game, but fret not if you find yourself here for some reason and you are a Bills fan. In my opinion, Mack Hollins, who has 16 receptions, 197 yards, and 3 touchdowns, being 6'4", 221 pounds, is very underrated. This is a guy that I would have liked to see the Kansas City Chiefs bring in, but it did not happen. He is exactly, by the way, the kind of wide receiver that oftentimes gives the Kansas City Chiefs defense fits. Leading wide receiver, Khalil Shakir, 529 yards, is a former 5th rounder out of Boise State, something that would absolutely never pan out for the Kansas City Chiefs, is just under 6 feet tall, just under 200 pounds, but the 4.3 40-yard dash undersells his explosiveness, in my opinion. I would look for the Kansas City Chiefs to unleash the edge players and count on the linebackers to take care of the running game. I would look for the Kansas City Chiefs to let their edge players pin their ears back and cause as much havoc as possible. I think that would be the best opportunity for the Kansas City Chiefs to take on a passing offense for the Bills that is maybe the right tackle plays. Probably he's at least still hobbled. You have two targets, their tight end and their rookie wide receiver, who are out, leaving the Buffalo Bills with some good players still, but not the players that are often there. So I would look for the defense to ratchet up the pressure. I would look for the defense to tell their edge players to pin their ears back and let the linebackers take care of the running game. And this is, I think, going to be a very hectic afternoon for Josh Allen. I think that Steve Spagnuolo is going to do everything in his power to make Josh Allen uncomfortable. Final prediction on this game: Kansas City Chiefs 32, Buffalo Bills 27. This season has been so absolutely wild from this perspective, trying to guess scores and whatnot, that at some point, predicting a points breakout has to pay off. And I think that it could be this game. I'm still not predicting that the Bills will go over the magical 28-point mark for this defense. And I'm also not predicting that the Kansas City Chiefs score 40. But that 32-27 mark, I think, could be the tale of the Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers being whole, the Kansas City Chiefs defense getting picked apart a little bit by the Bills' offense, and it will leave just enough intrigue for the inevitable rematch in the playoffs. Oh, well, what if Josh Allen had Keon Coleman? What if Josh Allen had Dalton Kincaid? They will say nothing of the Chiefs' offense or missing targets, but those targets on the Bills will get more credit than anything that the Chiefs have currently missing from their team. Now, this would be a barn burner. This is not the 54-51 shootout that was the Rams and the Chiefs just a few seasons ago. But this would be a high-scoring game for this year's NFL. I don't know. At some point, you have to pick against the Chiefs. Don't you? At some point. I can't bring myself to do it. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about, dropping multiple videos every single week, and I hope to have you back for the next one.